Hey there, Hail Stalkers. Meteorologist Martin Lowrimore here. We are looking at a handful of strong to severe thunderstorms that are now making their way into Omaha, Nebraska. So this is probably going to be the first major city to see these storms today. It did roll through Lincoln. But they actually have only been really warned for some weaker storms, still severe, but only a little bit weaker. So what we're doing right now, we're going to be covering these storms at least until it goes through Omaha, just because we also have a tornado warning as well as a reported funnel cloud heading in toward Omaha. So until this passes, we're going to be staying live here, keeping you guys up to date on what you can expect out of Omaha. We're also going to be talking about a couple other places. We've got storms that are stretching in all the way from just south of Hays, Kansas, all the way up to southern Minnesota. So we probably won't be on live for too long tonight. It's already 8 o'clock here Central Time, and these storms have gotten pretty linear already. Most of these are really warned for just 1-inch hail, with the exception of this cell to the north of Omaha. This one is warned for half-dollar sized hail, so not exactly significant hail by any means, but we're still going to be here just for this tornado warning that is going to be passing through Omaha with a confirmed funnel cloud. So let me know where you're from. We will get to that forecast for your city, what you're going to be seeing over the next couple of minutes and next couple of hours. We might also pop into a bit of a forecast for the rest of the day and into the rest of this week, because tomorrow is looking interesting. I'm actually going to see if they've changed anything for the convective outlook for tomorrow. Doesn't look like they've changed much. Yeah, they expanded out the hail risk a little bit. But yeah, still a tornado and hail driven for tomorrow. Going to think of more of what we can expect, what we already had today, but a little bit stronger tomorrow. So let me know where you're from, and we will get you that forecast for your city in just a second. I saw Kansas City. Asking about Kansas City. Unfortunately, you are a little bit too far away from that storm risk, though tomorrow Kansas City is looking really interesting. I think Kansas City could see some pretty significant severe weather tomorrow. It's going to be tough to get specifically supercells there, because you are going to be on the eastern side of this threat level, meaning you're probably going to be seeing those linear storms, aka the wind. That's what you're going to be seeing as mostly for the next 12 to 24 hours will be more than likely what you'll be seeing. So taking a look at that forecast, I'm actually going to pull up what we call our GR2. That way we can get a better, closer look at what's going on and why they have warned it for a tornado warning. So we'll swap over here to our, we're going to go, we want storm relative velocity. There we go. Let's back it up a little bit, see what they were seeing whenever they issued this warning, just so we can kind of get caught up to date on what a National Weather Service was looking at. So they issued a warning right here. So what you're seeing right here, this is what we call a bow. This is like basically a bow, essentially like a longbow, essentially. So you can see how that really curves out. This right here is indicative of what we call a QLCS tornado. So there's no tornado on the ground as of right now, but as we advance in time, and that bow is still there. Oh, we actually just had it confirmed. Confirmed tornado warning just outside of Omaha. So this is, I'm going to see what exactly that says. Tornado warning remains in effect at 8:30, 8:06, which was 2 minutes ago. Confirmed tornado was located near Gretna, moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. Did we see a drop? Correlation coefficient drop? Was it confirmed by, let's see, radar confirmed tornado near Platte River, northeast of Ashland. Train spotter. Interesting. That right there wouldn't be the correlation coefficient drop off right there. That wouldn't be where we actually would be seeing the tornado. Let's move this ahead in time. Let's see. NWS has got to know something that I don't, because I don't see that drop off. Maybe that could be it right there. Could be. Trying to get a bead on what they're looking at. Platte River near Ashland. Let's see. I saw you asking about Minnesota. So southern Minnesota, you're seeing a little bit of action going on. You got a tornadic supercell that actually had a tornado attached to it not too long ago. Let's see, back this up a little bit. I want to say there was a confirmed tornado at one point. Yeah, there was a confirmed tornado. This is extreme southern Minnesota, south of Minneapolis, south of Morgan, south of Faribault. So if you're in that area, more than likely we'll be seeing those storms. But if you're north Minneapolis or north, it's gonna be tough to really get those storms in there. Let's go back to, actually, I want to pull up. Give me 1 second. Let's see if we can find ourselves a traffic camera over in Omaha. Yeah. It's also being warned for 1-inch hail and 70-mile-an-hour winds. That's the reason why it's been given that considerable tag. So let's see here. Looking for our best camera that we can show. We got to show camera if we can. This will be off of I-80. All right, let's see. If we can go a little further south than that. Ah, yes, map view. Give me that. That's what I need. I have above average geography, but not exactly the greatest. Okay, so it's right off that intersection. This is right here where I-80 crosses south. So let's get right on this intersection. Nope, that's not a good camera. Oh, these aren't cameras. These are just... Oh, that's a scam. It's only... Huh. Well, it's only pictures. Yeah, confirmed tornado over in Gretna. It is right. They said there was a funnel cloud earlier that was by a trained spotter. So we had the funnel cloud, and now we got the tornado warning. All as it should be. I wonder when they're going to try to expand this out. They've already expanded out this severe thunderstorm warning, so they've got a new one. This is for all of Omaha. Same as before. 1-inch hail, quarter-sized hail, 70-mile-an-hour winds. It says these storms have had a history of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds and greater, meaning very, very strong winds, and quarter-sized hail. I mean, if you look at it just from like the 1,000-yard view, you're seeing these storms are already starting to really linearize. So we're watching this happen. We're already seeing this happen. Like it's already turning into a more of a wind event, but we're still seeing, the what we call embedded tornado risk. Midland, Odessa area, you guys are seeing nothing. Not a whole lot going on across all of Texas right now. More than likely, you're not going to see much, Eric, until at least the day after tomorrow. I think you guys are going to avoid most of the storms tomorrow. So I would say Tuesday, more than likely you'll see some storms, but it's still going to be difficult even then because most of the storms are going to stay to the north. Another confirmed tornado. This one's actually, let's see what this says. 80-mile-an-hour winds. This is what we call a destructive tag storm. This is in northwestern Iowa. Was this out of history producing a tornado? Already done it again. Very strong wind reports. Upper 60s, a couple low 70s going in there as well. All right, so Omaha itself is now under a tornado warning. Now, I will note this is no longer, I'm going to take off this watch real quick. All right, so get rid of the MCDs too. All right, so Omaha, downtown Omaha is now under a tornado warning. So what this means is that this storm probably has lost the evidence that there is a tornado on the ground, or spotters have confirmed that there is no longer a tornado on the ground. One of the two. It has had a history. A severe thunderstorm that was capable of producing a tornado was located over La Vista, which you're out here. This one right here. And then this is now moving its way into Omaha. Regardless of what's going to happen, you're going to have some strong winds. Again, 70-mile-an-hour winds is what this entire area is warned for. But it looks like more than likely that we've seen a tornado actually lift. Okay. Large severe thunderstorm warning for 80-mile-an-hour winds. You can see this large bow. This whole bow right here, that is what's causing that very strong wind, because basically you have the storms behind it pushing. Meanwhile, you also have the whole cold front also reinforcing behind it. So you're getting basically double the push. And that is what causes these very large bands of very strong winds. So Omaha itself under a tornado warning. Goes until 9 o'clock, so about 45 minutes. Hazards are tornado, quarter-sized hail. Granted, the winds is covered by the severe thunderstorm warning, which is, again, 70-mile-an-hour winds. This one goes for almost an hour, so that severe thunderstorm warning is going to be lasting for a little bit longer than the tornado warning will. 1-inch hail report. This is near Elkhorn, suburb of Omaha. Going further south, you got some of these up for ping pong size and 70-mile-an-hour winds, dollar size. This could get into Salina pretty soon. So yeah, they have cut down this no longer confirmed tornado in Omaha. That's good. Always good to see the purple box turn red. Always good to see it. Still do have that confirmed tornado up toward the north. This is in just to the east of Sioux City. Backing up a little bit. You see that rotation still really forming through there, and it's going to collapse in on this little cluster here pretty soon. So I doubt it lives much longer. Up towards St. James, Minnesota, got that tornado warning still going on. This one's trying to make its way in toward Minneapolis. I doubt it makes all the way up there. What's the temperature? 64 all the way up there. Minneapolis is sitting at 60. I think it's going to be tough to get those storms that far north. Still only have funnel cloud report. We've now got a lot of tornado warnings out toward around Omaha. This one's over at Bennett, Palmyra, Unadilla, Weeping Water, of course, Omaha. You got Crescent, Underwood, Neola, McClelland, Weston, Gilliat, Council Bluffs, all these areas currently under that tornado warning is encompassing Omaha. Right here. This is a camera over in Omaha. We're only getting photos, unfortunately. So let's see if we can try to get something different. Nope. Wet roads, very wet roads. That's about all we can really tell without a legitimate camera. Oh yeah. Not a whole lot when it comes to those cameras, unfortunately. Several tornado warnings active. Currently got 6 tornado warnings and 1 tornado confirmed, which this one right here is actually that one there. Huh? That's weird. Huh. Can't say I've seen a warning like that before. We're just like, we're not going to include Sioux Rapids. Might as well. Still got that active tornado warning over at Omaha. No longer confirmed. It is warned for 1-inch hail and tornado, as well as the severe thunderstorms surrounding it. It's also being warned for 70-mile-an-hour winds. Get the watches back on. That's what it was. Okay. They just had a delayed warning. So they've issued this warning over for that includes Sioux Rapids. This one is a destructive tag for that very strong winds that's associated with this bow echo here. Meanwhile, they've expanded this further out. That is only having 70-mile-an-hour winds. Only 70-mile-an-hour winds. When was that?
Hello.
Good evening, Taylor.
Good evening. What a storm system that we have going on right now.
Yeah, it seems like it was just going to pinpoint Omaha. Luckily, no longer a confirmed tornado on the ground, but still tornado warning for the entire city of Omaha, just about. Just
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
super
this long
strong
line of
winds.
storms, it really looks like they are, it's mainly a wind concern, but it's not just wind. It's, 70, 80 mile per hour wind. Very, very impressive strong winds as they've become more linear through the evening hours. We've been watching this all day, and we can start to see some of those Boeing signatures really creating that a very, very impressive wind threat anywhere from Minnesota all the way down to Kansas. It looks like our threat is diminishing here in Oklahoma, but we still have that tornado watch in effect through the next few hours until 11 o'clock tonight through Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Minnesota. So very, very concerning for a lot of people, especially for that wind threat. And of course, a potential tornado that's going into Omaha right now. I mean, the entire city, as you mentioned, as it's about to cross the state lines from Nebraska into Iowa and then become an Iowa issue as we go into the late night hours. That looks like they're going to get a watch or just got a watch in Des Moines Still watching that hail threat. They say, ping pong ball size hail possible, but they're really just watching for that significant wind gust threat. 80 miles an hour for that tornado watch that goes into Iowa.
Oh yeah, I mean we're already looking at there's this little cluster, this Bow Echo, just outside of Sioux City. It's destructively warned. They've got a large section of this area destructively warned, and behind it you can just see behind the Bow Echo 74, 75, 77, 66, 69, like all of those. Um, a lot of those being very, very strong winds. Actually, behind this cell that's going through Omaha right now, we've got 67, 70, 68. All of these have got very strong winds associated with them.
Yeah, and confirmed too,
Mm-hmm.
reported high
Yeah,
winds.
these are like reports, and a lot of these are from what we call METAR stations, meaning that these were actual weather stations that the National Weather Service has put out, and they're pretty high quality.
Yeah, not just people saying tree limb down, 65-mile-per-hour wind. This is actually like an actual sensor out there on the ground that's stationed for these types of events and to give us service analysis. So that is very, very helpful data to know that we have these ongoing, very strong winds. And now we've got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that goes all the way into Iowa. It looks like, Martin, they are warning this pretty far out. I mean, this is a pretty large severe thunderstorm warning. This
Mm-hmm.
actually goes until 9:15 tonight. So they've warned this for the next over 45 minutes. And this, I think, is also because they know that this storm system is going to be sustained for a long period of time. Anything with high winds often does get sustained for a long period of time, especially as that low level jet kicks in. And this is very, very classic, right? The sun goes down, low level jet kicks in. That's exactly what we're seeing here. It's moving pretty quickly, so I don't expect Omaha to be under that threat for too long, moving to the east at about 45 miles an hour. But again, you guys are still in that red box. You are still in that tornado warning over the next few minutes. So make sure that you just stay weather aware. And I'm honestly wondering, of course, we could see little circulations in these long line of storms, but then we're also going to see some really nice wind gusts with this as well. So I'm sure it's kind of a twofold warning here. Now, Omaha, it does look like we've got a decent hook right through the center of the city. I'm going to pull up a different radar because I really want to keep an eye on that hook.
Yeah, it's got a good little rotation on it. I'm pulling out the storm relative. Here, let's just pull up base. Yeah, I can see it. But across the state line into Iowa. Michael asking if we think tomorrow's going to be a high risk. It's got to bump up to a 30%. It's got the SIG 2. It's got one more step it's got to get over. I'm not going to be the one to call it or not. We haven't had one all year, and as you know, high risks are usually pretty rare. But in my opinion, whether it's a moderate or a high risk, it's going to be a very significant day tomorrow.
I think that one of the biggest limiting factors here is the timing of these storms tomorrow. We've got
Very
such a
late.
late timing for storms tomorrow. Some of these storms don't even initiate, they don't even fire until right around the sun goes down. So we're going to see another linear system tomorrow. Again, a very big tornado threat. We've got some very, very strong winds expected tomorrow, very similar to what we're seeing today. But that could also be a limiting factor for them to not go high risk. We'll see what they end up doing. But I do think that the timing of these storms tomorrow will be a major limiting factor to prevent us from going to that level 5. Still, level 4 is very, very significant. And they do that. So Storm Prediction Center does that based on the number of reports that they're expecting, the number of things that they're expecting to happen. You could still get one really, really impressive storm through a major city, and that does major impacts, right? Or you could get a ton of impressive storms going through a lot of cities, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And so that verifies or qualifies the risk that we had today, that enhanced risk for today. We're just expecting more of that. We've got a higher confidence in that happening tomorrow. So even if it doesn't go high risk, obviously, as Martin said, it's still going to be a very, very impactful day tomorrow.
Yeah, regardless if it's a 4 out of 5. And Water asking about Midland, you ain't going to see much until at least Tuesday. And by then, the storms are going to be pretty much tapped out. So it's going to be difficult for you to get much going on. I could see some storms on Tuesday though, over in Midland. At slight risk is a giant swath going all the way from, no kidding, Vermont down to the Rio Grande. So just
So
about
this
everywhere.
is day 3 in a long period of storms, day 4 maybe, that we are expecting. So obviously tomorrow another day of storms, and then Tuesday as well. So we are just kind of going day by day. We're kind of halfway through this long stretch of storms that we knew was coming. I mean, it's the middle of May, so we kind of expect this type of stuff. But I do think once that front latches on Tuesday, it'll start to push things a little bit farther to the east instead of being a plain system just over and over and over, as we've seen the last few days and as we'll see tomorrow again. Once that front really latches on, that's going to help to, once that front latches on, that's going to be kind of the initiating factor to push everything to the east.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll be places like St. Louis and Arkansas, all the way out to Tennessee and Kentucky, all the way down to Texas, that we'll see storms as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, just after really tomorrow, the big day tomorrow.
They had a lot of reports yesterday, but it just kept avoiding all the big cities. That was the
Mm-hmm.
that was the good thing about with what was going on with the wind, because it was a lot of wind, and a lot of them managed to just avoid most of the big cities. It was kind of just threading the needle for a lot of these areas. Looks like a new one. No. Got a couple of these tail and Charlies still warned for about ping pong sized tail that could get in a Salina pretty soon. A lot of lightning. Topeka, Salina could be seeing some storms pretty soon. Manhattan, Kansas as well. Could see some pretty soon. The rotation's really kind of, that's a little bit of that hook. This is south of Omaha, looks like. It's trying to form up something. By the time it ends up forming up, it might be out of the city. And they're moving pretty quick. 45, 55. The tornado warning's 55 miles an hour.
Yeah, very, very fast moving. And I think that we'll continue to see these storms be fast moving, if not even faster than what we're seeing right now. And again, all of that thanks to that low level jet. Once that really kicks in, it's basically like a ship. Think about a ship that has a really tall sail on it. It's driven by wind, right? That's essentially what's going on here. Once that low level jet kicks in, the wind, it just pushes these storms to move really fast, which also creates more strong wind at the surface. That fast movement really helps with that strong wind at the surface, but it also is it's going to create, this is a long and skinny line of storms, so it'll create that storm hazard for a short amount of time. Those areas that are in a tornado watch farther to the west of that line of storms will probably slowly get cut off of the watch. We will not see more storms form back to the west behind this long line of storms. But again, we still have to watch for everyone who is included in this line of storms right now. Basically, if you're getting rain, you're in some type of warning, whether that be for wind or for hail, you're in some type of warning. And a lot of this is for wind, and a lot of it is for what the National Weather Service calls destructive wind, which would be 80 miles per hour or stronger. So like right to the north of Omaha, we're talking about the
Mm-hmm.
northwestern portion of Iowa. We've
Sioux
got one
Rapids.
warning that goes into, I mean, we've already got some confirmed 74 mile per hour wind gusts, 77 mile per hour wind gust, and then that's warned for 80 mile per hour wind gust, which again is what the National Weather Service considers destructive.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got several reports of 70, 75 miles an hour, you've got 80-mile-an-hour winds somewhere in there. They don't always pinpoint the strongest. When we've said this about hail all the time, if you get 3 reports of a 3-inch hailstone, there's probably a 4-incher somewhere out there, but it just never gets found. We're not 100% coverage across the entire nation, so it's difficult to really pinpoint that. Council Bluffs sirens are going off. Yeah, you are under that tornado warning currently. Let me switch over real quick. You are under that tornado warning in Council Bluffs. Your and both a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning at the same time. Council Bluffs, you are pretty much right on top of it at this point in time. So in the next few minutes, you'll more than likely maybe start seeing the wind calming down a little bit, maybe the rain starting to give way a little bit. But for right now, you're probably getting just the whole kitchen sink getting thrown at you right now. It's not warned for big hail. It's only warned for 1 inch hail, but I could still see a few of these. A couple of these small little updrafts in these lines of storms could produce some hail, but it's just once you get these storms in long lines, getting hail or really significant hail is really difficult. We want to see these small individual supercells is what we call them. Those small storms that stand on their own, that gets that proper inflow and really allows them to create those updrafts that allow them to basically create those very large hailstones. But wind and tornado threat still absolutely is there for Council Bluffs.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're seeing a better chance for hail farther down to the south. That's where we have our best inflow. You get that nice south wind near places like Great Bend, Kansas, and Ellsworth, Kansas, Brookville, going into Salina here pretty soon. That's where we're seeing reported, confirmed, pretty large hail as well. This area is going to have a better chance for large hail. While if you go up to the north, you've got these like Boeing lines, those backwards C-shaped lines. That'll be your main wind risk. So that's what we're seeing for our main wind risk. As opposed to down to the south into places like Kansas, you could get some larger hail in these areas. We've got another report here. It picked up fast, saw the clouds, and turned into pouring rain. Yeah, and that's thanks to how fast these storms are moving. Again, moving to the east at about 45 to 55 miles an hour. So things could happen very, very quickly. But the good news about this is that it's a long line of storms that's pretty reliable. We know where it's going. But the question here is what's it going to be? Is it going to be that tornado risk or is it going to be that wind risk? And then we also know, especially with these long line of storms like this, oftentimes tornadoes can touch down and pick back up and touch down and pick back up. So the tornado risk could change almost minute by minute, which is why oftentimes they warn these pretty far out. Like these are pretty decently long warnings from Omaha, now not including the Nebraska side of Omaha, now including the eastern side of Omaha going into Iowa. That tornado warning has been adjusted, and we do have a confirmed report of a peak wind gust of 63 miles an hour. Again, another weather station in the area. So 67, 63 miles an hour, still pretty impressive.
Had someone asking about Big Lake, Minnesota. You're a bit too far north to be getting a lot of the storms. You might see some rain, but when it comes to storms, that's going to stay to your south. Iowa, well, it depends on which part of Iowa. If you're in the western portion, you're getting wind. If you're in the center portion, you're probably going to be getting some wind pretty soon. If you're in the eastern portion, it'll be really late if you get any storms. And more than likely, they probably won't even be severe at that point in time. They might be, but still the two destructive tag storms. Those are wing one for nickel-sized hail and 80-mile-an-hour winds. That is impressive. It's gotten out of Sioux City, so it's no longer getting a lot of those reports. We're not seeing any wind reports right now for the past couple of minutes. That's the problem with the rural areas is that you don't get a ton of reports once you get in the much more sparsely populated areas because with less population or less weather stations. And it's sort of designed that way, but it's also a bit of a crux whenever you're trying to watch storms that are not in a very big population center. Let's add a 1-inch hail report over in Elkhorn. This was about an hour and a half ago.
Got another question. Is the storm dying down? So I'm going to assume we're talking about Big Lake. So in Big Lake, Minnesota, yeah. And you guys are just not in the major storm risk here. So again, Big Lake, Martin was just talking about you guys not in that major storm risk, but again, you could see some strong winds. in this
Yeah,
area. Again, it's not severe warned, so it's not an area that we are most concerned about. You guys probably won't get rain for long in Big Lake. Just, stay inside for the time being until it stops raining.
yeah. Occasional thunderbolts is what I'm seeing here, and some good little rain. It'll fill up the 10,000 lakes of Minnesota. There you go. Or is it 1,000 lakes? I don't remember. Can't say I'm in
When
Minnesota.
is the next risk for Elkhorn, Nebraska? So if you guys, and I'm going to see, you guys are going to,
Elkhorn's on the other side of the front.
so you guys will be in that storm risk for tomorrow. That includes a good portion of the eastern side of Nebraska. I think that you're either right on the edge of the slight to enhanced risk for tomorrow. If you go down to the south of Lincoln, you get into the moderate. That's a level 4 risk, and that's mainly for strong wind, tornadoes, and some really large hail. Elkhorn is going to be just on the edge of storms tomorrow. So if they form to the west of you, you're probably going to get some pretty decently strong storms. If they form to the east of you, you'll be out of the storm risk completely. So you guys are just right on the edge of the storm risk for tomorrow.
You'll know very early in the day if you're going to get storms or not. That's kind of the good thing for you guys is that you're going to know very early. None of these late night storms for you. You're going to see where they initiate. You're going to get your storms probably pretty early in your afternoon, and then they move on. It's no longer your problem. What do you guys know about Omaha? Omaha is having fun right now. They are currently Omaha, Nebraska is not tornado warned. I don't know if there's like a what the jurisdiction is, but in Iowa, they are still tornado warned over at Council Bluffs. So Omaha itself, you're out of the tornado warning. You're still under the severe thunderstorm warning. That one is warned for 1 inch hail, about quarter-sized hail, and then 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So pretty strong wind gusts still moving through. You've got another little cluster of storms that are just to the south of you. They could give you some more strong winds. And definitely some lightning for sure. This thing's probably electrified out the wazoo. Oh yeah, plenty of lightning. Occasional lightning, one every 1 to 2 minutes. Storm risk past Omaha. Not quite, but very soon. You'll be seeing the storm risk passing you by pretty soon, Andrew. But for right now, I would still say hold tight. Is that a new one? It is a new one. They just had a 70-mile-an-hour wind gust report that just came in near La Vista.
Got another one.
The spotter report. So it says 60 to 70 estimated wind gusts. Take that with a grain of salt. We'll call it 70, but we'll take it with a grain of salt. I would buy it with already the wind gust being reported at 63 at the KOMA station, but spotter reports. Got another one up to the north that was 65 at a personal weather station. This was over toward Missouri Valley. Is there a storm risk in Big Lake tomorrow? I don't think so. Not a huge one, at least.
A lot of questions about Big Lake. You guys are also right on the edge, but I think that you're a little too far for the west to the west tomorrow. So most of those storms will be to the east of Big Lake, Minnesota tomorrow.
Minneapolis is just barely, and I mean it's like right over Minneapolis is the risk for tornadoes. So Big Lake being out to the west of Minneapolis, it's gonna be tough. You're gonna have those storms initiate very quickly and somehow initiate much further north than we're expecting. A lot of ifs. Let's see. New reports of this destructive storm of 59 If that continues, they may end up bringing those down to considerable tagged. Actually, they did. This one right here, they dropped to considerable. I wouldn't be surprised they drop this one down pretty soon to considerable rather than destructive. Omaha, you are the Omaha Metro. I'm just going to call that for now. Omaha Metro, you are now clear of the tornado warning. Still under severe thunderstorm warning, so you're not exactly completely out of the woods yet. Biggest threat's still going to be very strong winds up to 70 miles an hour. But the threat of tornado in the Omaha Metro is done. For now. Hopefully going to stay that way. I'm more concerned over about this big giant bow echo we got going on over at Storm Lake. Very strong winds going on. Got a couple hailers still trying to pop in. Actually, hey, look at that. Training effect going on.
Yeah, so in that area, I think there is a flood warning in effect. So this is a flash flood warning until 3 a.m. So hopefully it's late at night and people aren't out of the roads. That's my assumption, but we're going to hope that that continues. The National Weather Service saying between 3 and 5 inches of rain has already fallen in this area. That's a lot of rain, but we're expecting an additional rainfall of about 1 to 3 inches in the warned area. So this area highlighted, I think that Martin has it on his screen. Yeah, and that area highlighted in dark green there. It's a little difficult to see, but I think that you guys can see it okay. The National Weather Service is saying that life-threatening flash flooding of creeks and streams in urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses are possible. So it's really going to be those urban areas, you know, those main highways are going to be fine for the most part. It's going to be those back streets, you know, that spot in your neighborhood that always seems to flood. That's probably flooded right now. So that's what that flash flood warning means. They're just saying stay off the road. Sometimes, especially if it's in the middle of the day, they will issue they'll sound the outdoor warning sirens to ask people just to stay off of the streets because of that main threat. Sometimes late at night like this, they won't do that tornado warning or the outdoor warning sirens, because most people are not on the streets, especially in more of a rural area like this. Yeah, but we have gotten some hail reports in that area, and then we've also got more wind reports. It's almost like if you cross the Kansas-Nebraska state line, you switch over from a hail threat to a wind threat, and it's a pretty impressive wind threat. 70, 80 mile per hour wind speeds are really, really impressive.
Looks like we've got a new tornado warning. I think that's I think that's a new one. Yeah. Well, it's an extension of the old one. This one's south of Omaha. This one includes Plattsmouth, Glenwood, Silver City, Minard, Pacific Junction, Mineola. Just to the south of Omaha. Omaha's right here, getting all that rain. Still moving northward. Very strong wind threat across Iowa, northwest Iowa. We actually had over at Trenton yesterday. Speaking of flash flooding, they had a flash flood emergency. They had, what did the warning say? Between like 7 to 9 inches of rain had already fallen, and they were expecting another 2 to 4.
Wow.
They just kept getting more and more of those training events. It was like as soon as one moved by, just format a different axis and just more rain right over that one area. They said multiple. I'm pretty sure they said multiple water rescues had to be done.
Oh yeah, I'm so not surprised by that. I mean,
that much rainfall
over 10 inches of rain, yeah. Where does it go? You know, at some point, it's so difficult for that rain to go anywhere. It just is at some point just kind of going to pond on the roadways, so much so that your cars get stuck. We've got one question. Did the tornado form in Omaha? So we don't have anything confirmed. However, we did have a tornado warning that just got expired for Omaha. It's still raining in this area. We still have severe thunderstorm warnings probably for a while. As these storms are moving pretty quickly, they are kind of moving in the same direction. So we'll have one storm that moves out while another storm moves in. We don't know if a tornado actually touched down. I didn't see anything confirmed, and radar signature was not that terribly impressive. However, we can't confirm if one did or didn't. Right now, we have a very, very high wind threat in the area. Very, very
Hmm.
strong winds. So we're talking about 70-mile-per-hour wind speeds here.
Yeah, this one's pretty much still covering all of Omaha, the metro and the surrounding suburbs. We're also still watching just to the north where they're seeing even stronger winds. They've actually got what they call a destructive tag severe thunderstorm warning. This one is for 80-mile-an-hour winds. Very, very strong winds. This one's over in northwest Iowa. And then moving its way in toward maybe Mason City, Iowa Falls, Fort Dodge, a couple areas like that. Not insignificant cities. Those have a couple 10,000 people, I believe, in them. We haven't had that's been the biggest hail report so far of the day, that 1.75. We had a couple, we actually did have a softball report earlier today. I'm going to try to fish up where it was at, but I remember seeing a 3.5 inch.
Yeah, these early evening storms, they definitely had, or early afternoon storms, they definitely had more of a hail risk on them. Now it's turned into that wind risk, which is very, very typical. The more storms that you get, they just are so crowded around each other. It's very difficult for those significant areas of hail to form. Hail cores are going to be less common in long lines of storms like this. So this is very textbook to go from that hail risk to that wind risk. And something like this that we're watching right now will most likely happen tomorrow as well. So we're going to watch it go from that hail and tornado risk to a wind and tornado risk as the sun goes down, and maybe even a little bit after sundown, just given the late nature of these storms tomorrow. Storm mode is going to start off once again very isolated. It's going to be very late in the day compared to what we would normally see this time of year, or excuse me, yeah, well, compared to what we would normally see this time of the year, what we would normally see really at any time of the year. This is a very late start for tomorrow.
Hmm. Actually, it's funny because this same storm that has been responsible for one, two, three, four, all four of the biggest hail reports is actually the one that has eventually made its way all the way to Omaha. It had a 3 inch report, 3.5 inch report, and two 2.5 inch reports. So
Wow.
baseballs, what's 3 inch? Do we have one for 3 inch?
I think they may say teacup or apple sized.
Let's go with apple size. And then, of course, that one softball sized hail report. That was from an emergency manager in Palmer, Nebraska. That was a while ago. It was about 4 hours ago. Are the storms going to be bigger tomorrow? Probably. If I had to guess, I mean, we're looking at basically what we are seeing as like the strongest point of the point of this event is more likely going to be tomorrow. Uh, Kind of reinforced by the Storm Prediction Center, where they're saying like, yeah, this is going to be a moderate risk versus today being an enhanced risk. So I could see it being bigger. Again, as Taylor was saying, I think the biggest limiting factor is going to be timing. That was the big thing for yesterday. Our timing yesterday was also a little bit funky. Today was a lot more typical. We saw storms firing. Maybe they were an hour late compared to what you would normally see. Ideally, usually you'll see those storms firing up 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We didn't get them until like 4 or 5 o'clock. But like tomorrow, when did you say you saw the rate? I haven't checked any of the models since this morning. When was most of them initiating?
Yeah, let's just go through that here. Let me pull it up on my screen over here. And we'll do a forecast for tomorrow. So let us know where you guys are watching from. And we'll just talk about storms tomorrow and what we expect to go on. So this is a great site. This is Pivotal Weather. This is one of my favorite sites to forecast on, although College of DuPage is definitely up there.
I don't know. The
So
new pivotal kind of they kind of blew it out of the water with the new update.
yeah, the beta version is awesome. So this is actually still loading in data for tomorrow. So we'll go back to the model run before this. Let's go to what we're seeing right now. So storms right now, obviously this is what we're seeing right now. Models did not bad. This is the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and that's exactly what we're seeing, except for the storms in Oklahoma. We knew that storms in Oklahoma were going to be very conditional, and that's exactly what's happening, is that we never saw those storms in Oklahoma form. So models aren't always right. That's why you have to look at multiple different models as well as surface observations and what we're seeing right now. These storms in Oklahoma didn't form. It's dry in Oklahoma right now. But all of these storms up to the north into Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa, all formed. But we're talking about tomorrow, so let's go through tomorrow. This is 6 a.m., maybe a little bit of morning convection over Kansas City in the morning. Could make for a wet morning commute. But we'll take a look at what the surface soundings are saying, which again, not always accurate, but it's not a bad way to tell if there's any severe weather. Got a little dry slot in there. We're not expecting anything terribly concerning tomorrow morning in Kansas City. But again, I know you guys want to talk about tomorrow afternoon, so let's keep going here. 10 a.m., 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we've got some storms in Oklahoma, 2 o'clock tomorrow. Now, not all model runs are having this. So not all models are saying storms in Oklahoma and the northern side of Texas tomorrow in the afternoon. The big show is going to be right here in northern Kansas and southern Nebraska. And that doesn't happen until, let's see, 4, 5 o'clock maybe. That's whenever we'll start to see those first few initial storms. This will be your time for large hail. Maybe some strong tornadoes in here. Really watching for this line right here. The northern side of Kansas and southern side of Nebraska. And this is 6 p.m. tomorrow. And then we go into that long line of storms forming right here from the eastern side of Nebraska down into central and southern Kansas. And that'll be what takes us into the late night hours. Here's 11 o'clock, midnight, 1, 2, and that is something that's going to look, I think, pretty similar to what we're seeing now, where we've got these strong winds, especially with that bowing look to these radar signatures here. And then maybe a little bit of hail. I'm curious, what does Wichita look like at midnight tomorrow? Nothing, not too impressive, but these soundings can often be wrong. Martin always says that. I love a good model sounding.
Look, nothing against model soundings. They do as good as they can. It's just sometimes they spit out some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen. I can't help but laugh. We saw a sounding where it had a layer where the dew point was higher than the temperature. Under only the most strenuous, wild circumstances can that happen. You don't have that. You don't have that happen in nature most of the time. So it's goofy. Very saturated environment. Holy moly.
Very sad, yeah. So, I mean, just what Martin was saying, the dew point and the temperature are the exact same. What that means is you're basically at 100% humidity. So, I mean, in 66-degree dew point, it's pretty impressive. That is potentially tornadic right there. We've got some good enough shear, I think, especially at the low levels. Shear. But, yeah, it's not terribly impressive. I mean, we can look at some of these other products here and show CAPE and stuff like that. Now, you guys let us know in the comments. Do you guys want to go back to radar, or do you want to keep on focusing on storms tomorrow? Let us know.
I'm keeping a look right now. It's not a whole lot really changing over. Still just the wind threat, and that's about it.
So we'll stay on the forecast for now. One thing that we like to look at in terms of large hail is lapse rate. Basically what that means is how fast can the air rise in the atmosphere, which can often very strongly correlate to strong updrafts in the thunderstorm. Basically what that means is how long can that strong updraft sustain a hailstone. And as it grows and grows and grows, is that strong air that's keeping it aloft in that thunderstorm, is it strong enough to hold that heavy hailstone? Eventually, it is not strong enough, and then it drops out of the thunderstorm. But really, that updraft is oftentimes a great idea. It gives us a great idea of what we can expect for hail sizes. So that's what you're looking at now. These are your lapse rates. Obviously, the darker colors, the purples, the oranges, are going to be your stronger lapse rates, your higher lapse rates. This is 5 p.m., 6, 7, 8. Okay, not too bad right in central Kansas. So we're watching for some large hail in central Kansas. Let's go to your mid-level lapse rates now. Give it just a minute to load. And much more impressive. Okay, yeah, very, very impressive with these reds and purples coming in right
Almost
through the
9
southern portion of
degrees.
Nebraska and the northern portion of Kansas. Yeah, right in here is pretty impressive. And you can see whenever the thunderstorms form, they're using up all of this energy in the atmosphere, and they're using up those strong updrafts. You can see that right there as these thunderstorms move again to the east. And again, this is right around 5, 6 o'clock for tomorrow. That looks like a sweet
I
spot
now
right
see
in
why
there.
they went with a 45 Sig 2 for hail.
Yeah, so Martin's talking about the Storm Prediction Center giving us that level 2 for how large the hail can be. And then what was that? 45%. So that would be level 4 for the likelihood of hail. So it's
I
a level
think
4 out of 5 for likelihood and level 2 for the size of hail.
Yeah, it's a level 4 out of 5 for the probability. It goes up to 60, but I don't know when the last time they used 60%. So it basically is the highest level you can go without calling for wackiness. I haven't seen a 60% outside of wind in, man, it's been forever. I can't think of the last time really we saw 60%.
There you go. Very impressive here. Some very nice cape.
Oh yeah.
Dew point at 74. Temp at 76. Significant hail. You guys can't see it on the bottom of the screen, but I can move this around. Significant hail at potentially 4 inches. Very, very impressive. Model sounding here. And again, this would be 5 p.m. tomorrow in northern Kansas.
If we can get a storm to initiate, that looks to be very impressive. I'm worried about Kansas City really for tomorrow. If those storms, if the low scoots just a little bit faster, this could be a pretty big event for Kansas City.
I think,
Um,
yeah, and you're right. But the word that you use there, Martin, is could. I
could.
think that that's a little conditional for Kansas City. It's much more promising to the west of Kansas City.
Mhm.
If we see that low move and pivot to the east a little bit, then it could be. But by the time, right now, by the time storms get to Kansas City, it's just so late at night. I don't think it'll be too impactful. But if that pivots a little bit to the east, I think that you're right. That could be very, very big for Kansas City tomorrow.
I think at this point we're probably not looking at it pivoting because once you get to about 24 hours out of a storm, you pretty much have an idea on what the low pressures, how fast the low pressure is going to be moving at this point in time. So I think they really nailed down where it's going to hit. But it's the weather. Wild things can happen. Definitely going to see some wind
Absolutely.
though. Definitely going to see some wind in Kansas City though. Once those storms file into a line.
Yeah, and it could be something similar to how what Omaha is seeing tonight. It's that wind and tornado threat.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very minute by minute potential tornado. You could see one drop down and then you could see it pick back up and drop back down and pick back up. Not your first rodeo in Kansas City. We covered something very, very similar to this a few weeks ago. So I know that y'all know what I'm talking about, but still something to take serious. I think that tomorrow Kansas City is in that level 2 risk.
Uh, yeah,
Pretty
they're like right
sure.
on the 2 to 3 risk. They're just right there.
So let's show that actually. We talk about it, but we can show it. Let's see. Oops. So this is your storm risk for tomorrow. Again, we've got that moderate risk, a level 4 out of 5, just north of Wichita, just south of Lincoln, Nebraska. Omaha, Lincoln, Wichita, Kansas City, and that level 3 risk for tomorrow. So I said level 2, it's actually level 3. Then we've got that slight risk that extends all the way up into Wisconsin, Michigan, as far east as Ohio, and as far south as Texas, and then that marginal risk surrounding those areas. And then if we look at each individual, so this is your tornado threat tomorrow. Obviously much more impressive in these areas that we just mentioned, from Wichita all the way up to Lincoln. Your wind threat includes a good portion of Iowa, most of Kansas, especially central and eastern side, and a good portion of western Oklahoma too. And then, of course, that hail threat really taking a bullseye for Kansas. But leaving Kansas City just slightly on the edge, as Martin said, if that low pivots to the east a little bit, then we could see more hail in Kansas City. But right now, it's looking like a lower risk for hail in Kansas City. Lower risk for hail in Omaha tomorrow, but much better chance for large hail in places like Lincoln, Salina, Topeka, Kansas, anything right along the I-70 corridor on the central to eastern side of the state right here. All right, let's switch back to the radar. I
do have a confirmed tornado now, but it is outside of Omaha. Let's just switch over. Pacific Junction, Silver City. Let's pull up our correlation coefficient. Must have been spotter confirmed, because I'm not seeing much.
Nicholas is asking, what time do you guys think the tornado and large hail threat will peak in Kansas and Nebraska? So are you talking about tonight or tomorrow? Because if you're talking about tonight, I think that hail threat has already peaked.
Let's see, you've already hit the peak.
Yeah, and we saw golf ball size hail in Kansas today. We saw a 3-inch size hail report. And where was that, Martin? Where's the 3-incher?
There was a 3.5-inch report in central Nebraska.
So in Nebraska, I mean, there's your peak right there. 3.5 inches, and that's impressive. There's your peak. But for tomorrow, I think it'll be an evening. I mean, from what we just saw from models, probably closer to 4 to 8 o'clock tomorrow. Nicholas says for tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
For tomorrow. Yeah, I would say 4 to 8 for the hail peak. But then tornadoes could last into the overnight hours, even after the sun goes down, even into very, very early Tuesday morning.
Yeah, these tornadoes I have a lot of experience with personally, because in eastern Oklahoma, this is pretty much all we get, is what we call these QLCS tornadoes. Basically, it's these tornadoes that are embedded. Actually, that's better. Embedded tornadoes. There you go. These storms usually tend to happen late at night, and they also tend to happen along with a wall of rain. So the problem is with this is that it really it becomes what we call rain wrapped, and that is a bit of an issue because you cannot see the tornado coming. That is the issue, because you actually can't see the tornado on its way, and it kind of surprises you. I've been a mile away from a tornado, never knew it was there because the rain was too heavy. It was actually completely encapsulating the tornado. And personally, I think that these are just as dangerous as your supercells, which historically speaking, your supercell tornadoes are stronger. They tend to have stronger winds. They tend to be longer lasting. But these storms, you don't really see them coming because, one, you're at nighttime. Two, you got a wall of rain in between you and that tornado. And, an EF2 tornado still can do a ton of damage. So I always, I guess you could say it peeves me a little bit when people kind of downplay a QLCS tornado when it's like, oh, it's not a supercell. It's like, no, it's still going to surprise people. Luckily, that confirmed tornado has now been downgraded to just a tornado warning just south of Omaha. And it looks like the storms have pretty much made their way through Omaha at this point. You might have a couple winds behind it, a little bit of heavy rain, but You're on the other side of that leading edge of this MCS, Mesoscale Convective System, these line of storms. And while the wind ahead of it is probably going to be still pretty gusty, I doubt there'll be much more in Omaha for the rest of the night. This is a curious one, though. They've got this. This one's heading in toward Fort Dodge. It's probably going to move to the north of, but they've got the actual where the tornado is at is just currently tornado warned. Meanwhile, the warning ahead of it is a reported tornado. I have not seen that tactic used by a National Weather Service office. A lot of tornado warnings up in northern Iowa.
Yeah, a lot in this area.
Let's see what's going on. If we can we see anything? Oh, I think I know why they're doing this. They're in a radar hole. So they're probably doing the better safe than sorry method.
It's hard whenever you get into more of these rural areas to spot that circulation, especially with this embedded tornado storm mode that we've got going on right now. As Martin was mentioning earlier, these are really difficult to spot even whenever you have good radars. Now, whenever you don't have good radars, very, very, very difficult to spot. We know that there's strong wind in the area. We can see that based on this radar signature that's bowing out. But I think that the most difficult thing would be to spot those areas of circulation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because like I'm looking right here, we're at 9,000 feet out here, so it's like you're looking halfway up into the storm at this point.
Yeah, that would be a tricky job right now, is to figure out where to put those tornado warnings at that area of the country. There's just not a ton of radar data in this area.
What is a radar confirmed or not? Nope, this is law enforcement confirmed. I haven't seen that tag in a while. Flying debris will be dangerous. Tornadoes near Manson, Iowa, around 9:10. Claire and Pioneer, you're next in about 10 minutes. They're starting to cut the severe thunderstorms in Nebraska. We've got about 2 left there. Pretty soon, Omaha will be clear of the severe thunderstorm warnings. Very soon. Salina just got put under severe thunderstorm warning, actually for 2-inch hail.
Nice.
70-mile-an-hour winds too. Not nice.
Wow.
It's that little cluster right there probably is what they're concerned about. Well, actually, is it going to make it in there is the question, because look at that. It's just basically trailing just north of Salina. Are they seeing maybe this like cell here? I think they're seeing this cell right here near Winston, or is it Wilson? Wilson. The cell near Wilson, I think, probably gets into Salina. How many reports of it, have we?
Earlier, I don't know if it was this cell or a different one, but this line of storms down in Kansas was producing golf ball size hail. But again, with this, now if this storm from Wilson can kind of split off from those other storms, which it looks like it's trying to do, then I think that we could get some large hail. If it gets all cluttered with these other storms that are crowding it, then we may not get some large hail in this area. We'll have to see how long it can sustain itself. While it has potential to produce 2-inch size hail right now, I'm very skeptical about how long it could sustain itself for. We'll just have to see. I mean, sometimes these things can break apart and they can go for a long time, and then sometimes they just have too many storms around them.
Yeah, it's trying, but like you can see just in the last couple of frames here, you can see all those purples immediately fading away as it's trying to break itself off of the main break off, the main set. They're breaking off in the main line. But the thing is that these storms like to be on this line because it's the most advantageous place for the storm development. We're at Ellsworth. That's the Ellsworth Air Force Base, right? That's where an Air Force Base is at?
I'm not quite sure.
The Ellsworth Airport. I feel like I've seen Ellsworth Air Force Base somewhere. Let's go back to Earth. Looks like we got a new, well, it was a confirmed tornado. They said, train spotter said they saw a tornado between Pocahontas and Havelock. This is in Iowa again. Still a lot of strong winds, though. 71, 72, 70. Omaha proper is out of severe thunderstorm warning. No longer seeing those storms. Might see a couple rain showers behind it, a couple rumbles of thunder. I'm seeing you are still seeing occasional lightning every now and then in Omaha. But for the storms themselves, they are past.
Look at that. Omaha, I mean, what, it took about an hour for the storms to get out, an hour and a half?
Been live for an hour, 10 minutes. We started pretty much when the warning got into Omaha. So, yeah. That's what happens whenever you have a storm that will go 45, 50 miles an hour rather than 15.
Yeah, really. And we've covered those too, those storms that have gone 15 miles an hour across DFW. And that took a lot longer than these storms that have gone across Omaha today. Now, you guys make sure that you are still staying weather aware because we still have ongoing tornado warnings in places like Fort Dodge, Iowa, Algona, Iowa. So make sure that you are keeping an eye on this as this tornado watch goes until 1 a.m. for some of us. And I think it goes until 3 a.m. for others, including Des Moines. If you're in Des Moines, this tornado watch goes until 3 a.m. for you guys. Now, as we go farther down to the south, we'll keep an eye on that Salina storm. But for now, I think that we are going to jump off of here and get ready for not only our forecast tomorrow, but make sure that we are ready for, we've got enough sleep for our noon forecast tomorrow. Let's see, we've got one last comment. I'm in Omaha and it's bad. Isaac, tell us what you're seeing in Omaha. Are you guys seeing wind damage? Are you seeing potential tornado impacts? Hail? I know we've gotten several reports of strong winds, so I'm not surprised at all. If those things that are not secure are blowing across the street or have been blown across the street, you may have to go a street over to go find your trash can if it was trash day today or tomorrow. You're going to have to probably go pick up some flower pots outside of your front or back porch. But I'm curious to know what other impacts were in this area. And, you know, those are things that we can say for sure happened. But what about, you know, the roofs? This type of strong wind could impact roofs. So I'm very interested to see what type of impacts we had in Omaha. But for now, I think we're going to jump off of here. Martin, anything before we go?
Nothing right now. Just make sure you stay safe. You're up in Iowa. I imagine they'll get a better idea of where they can put tornado warnings once it gets closer to Des Moines. So right over this interstate here. So I imagine the next couple of minutes or the next hour, they'll probably be able to hone in these potential tornado warnings.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll get some better radar data over there. Okay, well, thanks for joining us today. We have a live forecast every single weekday at noon. So we will be back here tomorrow with you guys at noon, and then we'll cover storms tomorrow evening as well. Make sure that you follow us on all forms of social media, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We are live on all of those platforms. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for joining us tonight.